Jeremy Clarkson is, right now, waiting on a council decision for something he shouldn't even have to ask for twice, a car park on his own land that people need because his farm is popular. And the paperwork trail behind this one application proves how much red tape one man has been forced to survive just to stop his own customers parking on the road. Here's the sentence that matters. From Clarkson's own team in the current application, Season 6 has been commissioned and will air in summer 2027. That is not a man trying to pull a fast one. That is a farmer giving the council a clear, honest timeline tied to a broadcast date that is already public knowledge. They know exactly what they are approving, and for how long. No games, a specific window, openly justified. Now let that sit for a second. 3 years stated plainly on the record by a business that has done nothing but tell the council the truth the whole way through. So here is what is really going on. It starts with a car park that should never have needed this many rounds of paperwork in the first place, and a piece of land that was never treated like an ordinary field to begin with. Diddley Squat sits inside the Cotswolds area of outstanding natural beauty. That single designation puts tougher planning restrictions on Clarkson's land than most farms in England will ever face. Every fence post, every gravel patch, every request for parking has to clear a higher bar than it would almost anywhere else. Keep that in mind. It explains a lot of what follows. This was never going to be a simple conversation. Go back to 2021. Clarkson applies for planning permission for a restaurant near the farm shop. It is refused. Most business owners would have walked away there. Instead, in August 2022, he opens a 40-cover restaurant anyway inside a building called Lowland Barn using permitted development rights. The same legal mechanism available to any landowner in the country trying to bring a disused agricultural building back into use. He was not hiding it. He confirmed it himself in writing later on. 12 days into that August, the council serves an enforcement notice. The restaurant closes within about a month of opening. Think about what that actually cost in real terms, not in some abstract sense. In Clarkson's own words, as a result of this, I have had to sell most of the cows I bought, and now I am back to using chemicals. I no longer wish to open a restaurant. That is a farmer whose entire supply chain for a beef-based menu collapsed overnight. Forced back onto artificial inputs he had specifically been trying to move away from. A diversification project built to support British farming shut down inside weeks. Any farmer in his position would have done exactly the same thing, walked away, or fought back. By January 2023, Clarkson writes to the council to make his position completely clear. We do not wish to expand the on-site businesses any further. We are perfectly happy with what we have. Contrary to some of the claims being made, I do not want to turn Diddley Squat Farm into Disneyland. It is, after all, where I live. But we really do need on-site parking. Read that closely. He is not asking for an empire. He is asking to stop his own visitors from clogging up a country lane outside his front door. And when the enforcement notice against the restaurant stood anyway, he appealed it alongside a separate refusal on the car park. That is not a contradiction. That is a man who tried to accept a bad outcome quietly. And then, when he saw the actual cost of walking away, decided his livelihood was worth fighting for. The appeal hearing runs across 2 days in March 2023 with Planning Inspector R.J. Perrins visiting the site twice. 2 visits. A formal 2-day hearing for a car park and a barn. Here is where it turns. On the restaurant, Perrins sides against Clarkson. 6 weeks to tear it all down. His words, 6 weeks is more than sufficient to restore the surrounding land to the condition it was in before the breach took place. 6 weeks for a business that employed local people and sold local produce in an industry that famously cannot survive on subsidy and unpredictable weather alone. But on the car park, the one thing that was actually about public safety, about stopping cars parking on a country lane, Perrins grants it. He approves an extension to the existing parking area, formalizes the temporary parking, allows new access arrangements, permits a small calf shed attached to the lambing shed alongside it. Even the inspector, hearing both sides, ruling against Clarkson on the restaurant, could see the parking was never the problem. It was the solution. 3 years from June 2023. That clock runs out around 2026. Clarkson is not asking the council for anything new right now. He is asking them not to switch a working solution off. Here is where it turns again. Because this is not the first time Clarkson has had to come back and ask the same council for permission to keep his own visitors safe. Back in February 2023, before the ruling even landed, there was already an earlier bid for a temporary car park to run until January 2025. 70 cars, 4 rows on a 60 by 32 meter field. Then the ruling gives him a different 3-year window to around 2026. Now, in 2026, he is back again asking for 2030. 3 separate applications for the same patch of gravel, for a facility that Oxfordshire's own Highways Authority says prevents cars parking dangerously on the road outside. Think about what that actually means. A man who found a genuine problem, his farm's success was causing a road safety issue, solved it, and has now had to re-justify that same solution to the council 3 times in 3 years. That is not Clarkson dragging this out. That is a system that cannot commit to a decision longer than a few years at a time, forcing a working farmer back to the drawing board again and again for something that was never controversial to begin with. The council encouraged the application, then made him appeal to get it approved, then made him come back twice more to keep it. And here are the parts the council itself cannot argue with because they said them themselves. In 2023, we understand that the planning process shown in Season 2 of Clarkson's farm can seem obstructive. Not might seem, can seem. Their word. They went on record insisting, as with any other planning authority, we have a legal responsibility to make sure that planning laws and policies are followed correctly by everyone. This is regardless of who they are, and we treat Diddley Squat Farm no differently. Fine words. Again, in 2024, they went further, practically admitting the car park battle did not need to happen at all. We encouraged Diddley Squat Farm to make an application for a temporary car park long before the appeal. Read that again. The council is on record saying they told him to sort out parking. And he did. And it still took a formal appeal to get it approved. So ask yourself, if the council knew a car park was the right call before the appeal even started, why did it take an inspector, a 2-day hearing, and 2 site visits to actually grant it? The council's own language does a lot of work trying to sound reasonable, listing what they have approved: the lambing shed, a barn, the farm shop, insisting they do not want to see the farm shop close, that they are pleased to see local produce being sold there, ending with, our door has always been open and will remain open should they choose to work with us. Fine words. But words are cheap when the paper trail shows a business that has had to fight formally 3 separate times for the one thing everybody, the council, the Highways Authority, even most of the local community, actually agrees is necessary. Not everyone in the village agrees, and this channel will not pretend otherwise. One resident, after the restaurant closure, called it a win for the community and said the farm was in the wrong place. That is a real voice on the record, and it deserves to be heard. But set it against the council that publicly admits it encouraged the car park application, a Highways Authority that has formally endorsed it, and a business that employs local people and sells local produce, and one unhappy neighbor does not add up to the case. West Oxfordshire District Council has spent 3 years failing to close. Even a county councillor said as much at the time. Liam Walker backing Clarkson's appeal outright. Local councils need to understand and appreciate farming has significantly changed for many reasons, and the planning rules need to also change to allow them to diversify quickly. Farmers right across the country deserve our support. That is not a fringe opinion. That is an elected official looking at the same paperwork you are at right now and reaching the same conclusion. Here is the detail that changes everything, though. It is not West Oxfordshire District Council that has shown any real conviction here. It is a completely different authority. Oxfordshire County Council. The people who actually understand roads have stepped in and backed Clarkson without hesitation. Their transport lead, Oliver Eden, put it plainly. The additional car parking is an important facility in accommodating car parking that would otherwise likely cause disruption and safety concerns on the adjacent highway. That is an expert authority confirming in writing that Clarkson was right about the parking the whole time. And Eden goes further. Oxfordshire County Council support the extension of the temporary permission as suggested to align with the expected ongoing demand associated with the television series schedule. The people whose actual job is road safety are telling the planning authority to stop dragging its feet and match the permission to reality. The farm draws crowds. The crowds need somewhere to park, and pretending otherwise just pushes the risk back onto the road. Clarkson's team said much the same in their own submission. The site continues to be popular and attracts sufficient customers to warrant the provision of additional parking. It maintains the associated benefits to the farms and other businesses that supply the farm shop and cafe. That is not a celebrity making demands. That is a business owner pointing out that other local farms and suppliers depend on this arrangement too. When Diddley Squat's car park works, other people's livelihoods work with it. The butcher who sells beef from Clarkson's cows, the dairy farmer supplying milk to the cafe, the vegetable growers whose produce fills the farm shop shelves, all of them tied to a car park decision that should have been straightforward from day one. So where does this leave things? The 2030 application is still sitting with West Oxfordshire District Council, undecided, no date given for a ruling. But look at what is actually in front of them, a highways authority that has already said yes, a business that has been open and specific about exactly how long it needs and why. A 3-year track record proving the car park does precisely what it was built to do. Keep cars off a country road. Keep a working farm's visitors safe. There is no real case left to make against it. There is just a council that has, by its own admission, made this harder than it needed to be. The highways authority told them the parking was necessary. The council encouraged the application, then made Clarkson appeal to get it, then made him come back twice more to keep it. 3 applications for the same patch of gravel. 3 years of paperwork for something that should have taken 1. Watch for that decision. If it lands the way the evidence points, it will not be a win handed to Clarkson. It will just be the council finally catching up to what everyone else, the highways authority, the local councillor, even West Oxfordshire's own past statements already agreed on months ago. Tell us in the comments what we should dig into next. The pub's numbers? Hawkstone's accounts? Or do you want us back here the second West Oxfordshire finally makes up its mind?